And we're live. It's Sponto time.
Yay!
And Sponto time is a card deck with 54 improv related cards in it, so we can play all kinds of games. And one game that Izzy and I are going to play today is a game called
Three sounds and you're done.
Three Sounds and You're Done. It's a fun game. I think it's a fun game. And this is how you play. We're going to select one purple card because Sponto Time has three different kind of suits: orange, purple, and green. And we pick one purple card, one orange card, and one green card. Orange cards are problems or dilemmas, and green cards are the environment that you're in. So he will have completely random environment. I'll pick a card, and the card says amusement park. That is where we're going to start this story. Amusement park.
Okay.
And now we've got the orange cards. And Izzy, your problem at the amusement park is loneliness. Loneliness. So what Izzy's going to do, he is going to start telling a story about being lonely at the amusement park, or his problem is loneliness at the amusement park. And my job is to interrupt him when he pauses with three, count them, three random noises. And then Izzy has to work those random noises into his narrative about loneliness at the amusement park. Are you ready to go, Izzy?
I am, with a heavy heart. I'm getting into character.
I know.
Let me tell you this story about the time I was supposed to meet what I thought was the love of my life at this huge amusement park. It was the yearly fair with the big amusements, and I love amusement parks. And I was supposed to meet this person I'd been dating for weeks and really liked her. Was waiting for an hour past the time she was supposed to be there, and then I realized I don't think she's coming.
Meow!
I turned around to listen to the sound, which I thought was a little cat, but it turned out that it was a squeaky Ferris wheel that was having a hard time getting started up. And I felt, oh, that's so bad, because we love the Ferris wheel, this girlfriend and I. And I felt even worse because the squeaky Ferris wheel sounded like her cat, who I really loved. And I felt so alone because all these people are walking around the place holding hands, kissing each other. And I am by myself pining for the person I thought would be my heart's delight. I turned around because there was this scream, and I looked up into this Ferris wheel, and there was a swinging basket up there. And wait a minute, I thought, holy cow. I recognized the sweater. Actually, I recognized the bottoms of the shoes because they were red. They were Jimmy Choo shoes. And there's only one person I know who wears those shoes, and that was Blanche, who I was expecting. So I was so glad to see her, but she was stuck up there. Nobody was paying attention to her, so it was up to me to save her.
Chugga, chugga, choo, choo, chugga, chugga, choo, choo.
So what I did was I ran backwards about 50, 60 steps, and I had heard this pump from near the pool. And what I realized, the pump had a thing that went round and round and round, that I took it off and I threw it onto the Ferris wheel, and I pulled it myself. You know, when you're in crisis, you have superhuman strength. And I pulled it, and eventually she came down, and I hugged her, and she loved me because I saved her, and I wasn't lonely anymore.
Thank you for your narrative, Izzy. Thank you very much. And now for the applied improv approach, where we ask some pointed questions. Izzy,
Laura,
how did it feel to be put on the spot like that?
It's kind of scary. I mean, it was loneliness, and I felt pretty much out there because this is a game where it's really all up to the person, the narrator, to set this, not only set the stage, but move it forward. Um, what what I realized, and this happens over and over again whenever I get this, I wouldn't call it performance anxiety, but creativity question. What do I do? What's good? Is just do something, start something. I don't have to figure out the whole thing. That's been the big lesson for me with applied improv, is to let go of trying to figure out the whole thing and just take that literal and figurative first step.
I enjoyed interrupting you with weird sounds. And my take was I was trying to help you with your narrative with the sounds that I gave you. And I'm wondering whether you found them helpful or whether they were more of a distraction for you that wasn't helpful at all.
Good question. It's hard to judge what I'm thinking of. Whether you, so intention doesn't always equal impact. What may seem helpful for you, to you, for me, I'd say might be distracting, or even worse. I think no matter what you had said, the idea was that it's almost like I'm cooking, I'm making a meal, and you come in and you say, "Here, use this ingredient," and I have to put the ingredient into the mix, even though it wasn't in the recipe, and figure out how much, and so forth. What I I don't know whether it was helpful or not, but it was a challenge, and
Yeah.
it really had to think fast about integrating it into the narrative. I think I was trying to help you by pausing.
Yeah.
Because when I played this game with other people and other times, sometimes the storyteller uh, doesn't know that they have to pause to allow the interrupter to make a sound. So the interrupter just throws sounds in the middle of a word. So I think that's a lesson also, that this is a dialogue. I'm the storyteller, but you are contributing essential elements. So I can make it easier for you by giving you space to do that.
That's an incredible observation because in my role as a public speaking coach, I often talk about the pause, that that's a really important place for the audience to be able to absorb what you're saying, for you to catch your breath, for the next thing to happen, and to look for those kind of moments. So even as I was listening to you speak, I was waiting for that pause every single time so that I could introduce something. And you gave me a lot to work with. And the other observation that you made that really helped me out was what you thought was helpful might not be helpful at all. Like that person in the kitchen who's giving you an ingredient when you've got an idea of what you're going to be cooking. So I was like, oh, he feels so bad because he's alone and he feels lonely. I'm going to give him a cat so he doesn't feel lonely. And that's not what you did with it at all. You took it and did something completely different, which I thought was absolutely lovely, but still absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, I think the insight that I'm getting is, even if we think we're helping in a variety of situations, it's not. Oh, people don't always get uh, the same impact. And when I heard the cat sound, um, I then realized I have a choice. How do I integrate the sound? Do I make it a cat? Or do I make it something that sounds like a cat? Or how do I bring that in? So um, again, the idea is just to pick something and move it forward, as long as it has some kind of relevance to it.
Yeah.
And the cat, uh, I'm thinking, oh, my girlfriend had a cat. I'm even lonelier because, you know. That is interesting. I'm just impressed again, over and over again, how this is a dialogue, and then this idea about active listening, or listen first to understand. I have a responsibility to let you in. You have a responsibility to throw things at me and not assume that I'll take them in any specific way.
Right. I think another observation that I had for team building at work is a lot of times, and I've been accused of this many times at work, Laura, you think you're being helpful. You're not. So sometimes we make an offer and we have to let it go. That person is going to use it the way they want to use it,
Yeah.
but they may not use it the way it was intended. And people say, well, he came with good intentions, but if the good intentions, his good intentions didn't really match what needed to be happening in that moment, the intentions were worthless.
And
So it's
it's
a good
sort of similar to just kidding. That's
yeah.
you don't know the consequence. And I know I found this happens many times. If I'm doing a workshop and I have somebody in front demonstrating a game, let's say it's the alphabet game where, or whatever the storytelling is, if the person I'm with hesitates, very often somebody in the audience will call out the answer or give them a prompt. And I'll say, why'd you do that? And they go, well, they needed help. How do you know? Sometimes I ask the person, did you need help? And many times they go, no, I was just thinking.
Mm-hmm.
The real discovery I've had is that the person who calls it out, who says, I'm doing it for the people who are up front, are doing it for themselves because they are uncomfortable watching someone who in their mind is suffering because they see themselves as suffering if they were there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
there's an empathy piece that comes out that I don't know if I wouldn't say we're embarrassed, but we the intention is I want to help you. And at the same time, I'm uncomfortable. So I want to ease my own discomfort.
Yeah, I wonder oftentimes when I'm being helpful, whether I am just inserting my will on a situation. And I think this game and this conversation we had about it can make us pause and reflect and have a bit more self awareness about what we are doing when we help somebody. I thought you were helping me when you gave me this wonderfully specific clue that the bottoms of her shoes were red because they were Jimmy Choo. I would never have thought to use chugga chugga choo choo as a noise unless you had not said chew. So I was thinking, well, if I say choo choo, he'll say something about the Jimmy shoes and work those in. But it didn't happen that way. And I'm delighted that it didn't because I wanted to, pay homage to the fact that you said a specific detail like Jimmy Choo. And I gave it to you and I was eager to see what you did with it.
Yeah, and it points out in storytelling, as we both know from our coaching and our own work, that details spark pictures in listeners' minds. So I'll look up and then I thought, oh, I'm looking up. I would see the bottom of their shoe because I have a person up there, and it came to mind that the red shoes, because people see red right away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that's another little storytelling tip I think we know that we like to share.
And we really love those specific details. It doesn't take too much extra effort to say Jimmy Shoe Chew as opposed to shoe, but it adds a color and a richness to your storytelling. It adds more texture. So that was a really delightful note, and I didn't want to, end this without saying that I really like that addition.
I'm glad. Thanks.
So if you like this game, there are 10 others that we have up on the spontotime.com site that you can play. And you can order this game now, play it with your team, play it at work, play it at home, play it in the car, play it with your family. All the words that we have in it are kid-friendly. They're corporation-friendly. So you can build teams, work on spontaneity, work on collaboration, and have more engaging meetings. So
and building a culture, whether in family or organizations, where fun and play and having an enjoyable time together is foundational to what's going on. It helps when people then have to make mistakes or tell difficult topics. It's easier if you have a culture where people have shared good times and laughed with each other and have been imperfect in the games. It really translates into a nicer environment that people want to be around.
Yes, and let's close with what Sponto time is, shall we?
Yeah, show us.
Okay. Sponto time. It's the party games that help you think on your feet. And what is it? It is a deck of cards with over 10 games in it. Each game takes 1 to 5 minutes. You need 1 or more players for team building, and it's appropriate for ages 12 and up, which means it's corporation and work friendly. So your contents are 54 cards, and the Sponto Time Games is a collection of fast improvisational party games designed to help you think on your feet and become more spontaneous. You can be creative, tell stories, build teams, have more fun, and discover something new about yourself and others. And what it is, it got 3 different kinds of cards that all represent different things. The green cards are environment cards, the purple cards are personality types, and the orange cards are problems or dilemmas that you can encounter. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of games that you could play with Sponto Time, and the game is available right now for purchase for only $19.99. Let's play a few games, shall we?
Yeah.